It's our Money in the Bank 2019 predictions coming up next on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Hello and welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications as we are trying to get 5,000 YouTube subscribers before All Elite Wrestling Double or Nothing. And we have a little bit over a week to go before Double or Nothing. And in fact, the next few weekends, we have quite a few wrestling pay-per-view events happening. We have Money in the Bank this week, Double or Nothing next week, NXT TakeOver 25 in Bridgeport the following week. Right. We have the Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia on the 7th. Then I believe Fyter Fest is after that in late June. So there's a lot of wrestling going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. So this is the start of that. So we're going to be at Money in the Bank. It's happening in Hartford, Connecticut at the XL Center. So let's start things off with the two matches that the pay-per-view is named after, the Money in the Bank ladder matches. And we'll start with the men. It's Sami Zayn, who just replaced Braun Strowman after Monday Night Raw's main event, where Sami Zayn beat Braun Strowman. He will go up against Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Ali, Finn Balor, Andrade, and Randy Orton. Now, in an earlier episode, you said that Ricochet was going to be the Money in the Bank winner. Are you still holding on to that prediction?
I'm going to stick with that prediction for all the original reasons I said in that show. So if you look back to history and you look back to what they've typically done and who they've given the briefcase to, it's typically been somebody who isn't necessarily ready to be the champion, but somebody that they see as somebody they can groom to be the champion. So you could see instances with that with the likes of Jack Swagger, Corbin, who obviously didn't have a successful cash-in, but he did try to cash in at least.
Daniel Bryan,
even long before the Yes Movement was even a thing. There's other guys that I'm sure you can look to.
Even Carmella on the women's side.
Yeah, that's another good example. So I think that they are going to go with Ricochet here for those reasons. I think that he's somebody that they do see a lot of potential in. He's definitely somebody who's very good in the ring. And since he's been on Raw or SmackDown for that matter, he's had some really solid matches. Now, granted, he hasn't come out on top in some of the feuds or some of the matches he's been in. We saw him lose to Corbin. We saw him lose to Robert Roode. So Bobby Roode, whatever the hell you want to call him. I can't keep track of it anymore.
It's Robert Roode.
Yeah, I do think they're going to pull the trigger on him. That being said, if I was going to give a second choice, I unfortunately wouldn't be surprised if they went with Corbin again.
That is actually my first pick. I am going with Baron Corbin for a lot of the reasons you just brought up. They definitely want someone to win this Money in the Bank and cash in successfully, as the last 2 years, it's been an unsuccessful cash in. Corbin being it 2 years ago, Braun Strowman being it last year. And, you know, part of Corbin's character right now is having the ring announcer ring up all these different accolades that he's had with his, boxing championship, his Money in the Bank win 2 years ago, retiring Kurt Angle, the list goes on and on of the stupid things that they bring up there. But what if he becomes the first two-time Money in the Bank winner since CM Punk? Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that Vince looks for things to get back at CM Punk, but sometimes this happens, and we have Shane McMahon being called the best in the world right now. So people would think that he's doing that as a jab to CM Punk, and this would be another way to do that. People already hate Baron Corbin, whether he's a good heel or this is just go-away heat or X-Pac heat. To me, I think it's a mix of both. This is a unpopular opinion, but I will say right now, Baron Corbin is the best heel WWE has right now. It's an unpopular opinion, I know, but
I think he gets a bad rep. I actually don't think he's that bad of a wrestler. I think he's actually pretty good in the ring and he's pretty solid.
Ricochet was really good.
Yeah, I enjoy a good majority of his matches, and I can't really say that he's it's not like he's boring or he's a bad wrestler. I think he's got a bad reputation because the time when he was the Constable Corbin and he asserted himself into that role as the GM was when Monday Night Raw was particularly bad. And that's when they got all the pushback and all of the heat from the fans, and people were just saying how bad the show was. Was this the worst Raw of all time? And all we were getting was Corbin, more and more Corbin. No matter where you turned and looked, he was all over the show.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, he was like the scapegoat.
Right.
I do think they can do certain things with his character. I think they can get away from this whole constable type Baron Corbin character and utilize him as a more meaningful heel. And maybe the Money in the Bank win is a step in that direction. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because is he getting booed? Yes, he's getting booed. He's getting a reaction. So I guess that's a successful heel.
That's the job of the heel, to get booed, to get a reaction that people hate you. They should want you to go away because they hate you that much. And yes, I get it. Some people just don't like Baron Corbin as a wrestler, but I think they hate the Baron Corbin character, which is exactly what you want in a heel. And it's such a lost art today because people just say, oh, to fix this wrestler, we need a heel turn. And then once they turn heel, we're going to cheer for them. Same thing happened with Becky Lynch. She turned heel and people cheered for her. Everyone wants Roman Reigns to turn heel. They want John Cena to turn heel because that's what makes them, over with the crowd. No, if you're over as a heel, you're not a good heel. But that's, I guess, me and my classic wrestling thinking. But let's move over now to the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Natalya, Dana Brooke, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Ember Moon, and Carmella. Now, we have 2 former Money in the Bank winners in this match, Alexa Bliss and Carmella. Do you see any of them becoming 2-time Money in the Bank winners?
I do. I actually think, based on what we saw last night on Monday Night Raw, Alexa Bliss is going to win with the help, obviously, of Nikki Cross. So their newfound friendship, if you want to call it that, I think that Nikki Cross will help her, and she'll become a 2-time
Now,
Money in the Bank.
What happens if they do the same thing that they did on Monday Night Raw, where Alexa gets herself out of the match and Nikki replaces her and Nikki wins Money in the Bank? I think that would be better.
I mean, it's possible.
Because then you could do that storyline that it looks like that they're teasing, where Alexa Bliss is going to win vicariously through Nikki Cross. And when she succeeds, Alexa succeeds.
Yeah. So
I kind of like how they're kind of teasing that. And I know some people were not happy with the way Nikki Cross was on TV in the beginning of the episode, where they thought she was getting normalized, but we obviously saw on her match that she wasn't. So could be 2 signs of Nikki Cross here too, where she feels sympathetic at Alexa Bliss, so she befriends her, but then Alexa Bliss is just using her to advance her career, even though she doesn't have to do anything. So I like that approach, but I'm going to throw a Hail Mary on this prediction. I say Dana Brooke is going to win the Money in the Bank.
Oh, God.
Dana Brooke is going to win the Money in the Bank.
What makes you think she's going to win?
Honestly, I have no idea. I just have a feeling that Dana Brooke is going to win.
Did you see the promos as that match was going on with Nikki Cross and all the individuals you were just mentioning? Did you see the promos that were being aired on Monday Night Raw? It was like a throwback to the 80s. They were so forced and scripted. It was it was bad. So Dana Brooke, I deserve this opportunity, and just one after the other, bad promo after bad promo after bad promo.
Right.
I felt like I was watching an episode of Superstars on like Saturday morning with the Ultimate Warrior. It was terrible.
Yeah, but I will say that since Dana Brooke had that mini program with Ronda Rousey, I think the fans are somewhat getting behind her, and I think
I'm not on that bus.
No, you might not be, but I think if she ends up winning, I think the crowd might go nuts for that win. Well, again, it might be one of those where like it's so different that we're gonna cheer because we just want something different, and Dana Brooke would, and just because she wins doesn't necessarily mean she has to cash in successfully, because we haven't had a failed cash in yet for the women. So maybe she wins for the nice reaction, but then doesn't cash in successfully. So
similar to like when Zack Ryder won the IC championship?
The IC championship, and then
that was past the time when he was already over. Mm-hmm. So when he won, people popped big, and then they were like, "Well, logistically, why the hell did he have any business winning this match? So maybe something similar to that can happen. I'm sure the fans would pop big for it just because, like you said, it's something different, but maybe we don't need different. Maybe we need stability. Give it to Alexa Bliss. Let her do her thing. Build the storyline between her and Nikki Cross. It'll be beautiful.
Yes. All right, let's move over to our women's championship matches. So Becky Lynch, Becky Two Belts, has 2 separate title defenses, similar to how Seth Rollins had 2 separate title defenses that Night of Champions back in 2016, where he faced Cena for the U.S. Championship and then Sting for the WWE Championship. So this time we have Becky Lynch facing Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship and Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Do you see Becky retaining both belts? And if not, does she lose just one, or is she losing all belts?
Yeah. I see her retaining both. While I certainly don't think that she's as over as she once was, I still think that there's money to be made in that character. So I think the whole Becky Two Belts, I think that they could still do more with that.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte is always going to be Charlotte. There's always going to be prestige associated with her name. So she's never going to lose that. Lacey Evans is still pretty young and at the beginning of her main roster run.
Yep.
So she could win the belt somewhere further down the road, even if it's a couple of months down the road.
Yeah.
From Becky or someone else. So, I don't think people are really anticipating or wanting a Charlotte Flair title reign just because she's had the belt 8 times already.
Yep.
I don't think it's necessary. She's still young in her career where she could win multiple titles further down the road. I just don't see it. I don't see it making business sense for them. I think that right now, even though Becky Lynch isn't as over as she once was, she's still over enough to the point where I would keep the belts on her. The fans still get behind her.
Yes.
When she comes out and when she cuts promos and when she's in the ring and everything else. So, I don't think they're ready to part from that yet.
See, this one is very interesting. I do think she will beat Charlotte Flair. It's just a matter of how they're going to set these matches up. Now, when they did Night of Champions with Rollins, they had Cena and Rollins first.
Yep.
And then Sting followed. And Cena beat Rollins, and then Rollins beat Sting. I do think Becky will beat Charlotte, and that match will go first. And she will be so fatigued from having a hard-fought match against Charlotte that all it's going to take is one women's right, and Lacey Evans becomes your new Raw Women's Champion. Mm-hmm. I don't like if that was to happen. I think that is going to happen because there's something there with Lacey Evans.
Oh, I don't disagree.
There's definitely something
she's
there.
Definitely talented.
She's good on the mic. As I think she really showed it this past Monday on her mic skills. Her in-ring skills, I think, are a little green right now. They have to be improved, but I think winning the Raw Women's Championship could help her elevate her status while still protecting Becky in a way that she obviously she lost because she just had a hard-fought match and she wasn't 100% going against Lacey Evans.
Right.
That you could continue that storyline. And sometimes there are characters that are better as the chaser than they are the champion. And I think Becky Lynch is that. She's a better chaser than a champion. While she still will have the SmackDown Women's Championship, she could still have the story with Lacey Evans with this new wild card rule and continue the story and have her chase the Raw Women's Championship again, where she could be Becky Two Belts again.
Do we get a cash in?
No, I don't see a cash in. I wouldn't be surprised if these 2 Becky Lynch matches actually start the show. So I would not think there would be a women's cash in. We'll save that one for later.
Okay.
So let's move on now to some non-title matches. Roman Reigns versus Elias. Roman Reigns versus Elias.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Did you watch Raw last night? Did you not see the 4-minute beautifully done, very well put together promo they did on Roman Reigns.
Yes.
Elias is not winning this match.
No.
He's not.
No.
It's not happening. This will be another, unfortunately, another situation where Elias is going to get fed to another top-tier star.
Yeah, I agree. Roman Reigns beats him. Next up, Shane McMahon versus The Miz in a steel cage match.
I think Shane still wins. He
won at WrestleMania.
Yeah, so I know he won at WrestleMania, but I think they're going to further this storyline a little bit more. Try to establish it a little further down the road.
But you can only further storylines with 50-50 booking.
I still don't think Miz is going.
No?
No.
All right.
Not yet. I think eventually we'll get there, but he's been aligning himself with the likes of the B Team and Elias and Bobby Lashley. So I think it's inevitable that one of them gets involved and helps assist Shane to a cheap victory.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with The Miz here.
Okay.
I'm going to go with The Miz, continue the storyline, and just knowing WWE, they love their 50-50 booking. So
he's the new Miz.
It doesn't matter if it's the old Miz, the new Miz, Miz and Mrs. Miz, real world Miz. I say The Miz beats Shane McMahon. Now we head over to our championship matches for the evening. Our first one for the United States Championship, Samoa Joe against Rey Mysterio. Now this is also a WrestleMania rematch.
Yep.
The match only occurred in 1 minute. I was actually taking a bathroom break at this point of the show. And by the time I got back to my seat, the match was already over. Yep. So I didn't get to see it. So while Rey Mysterio was injured for that match, he's fully healed at this point. At least we think he is. So we'll see a much longer match than 1 minute this time. Do you see Samoa Joe retaining, or does Rey Mysterio take the title?
I think Samoa Joe's going to win, and my prediction is he's going to get some mega heat because he will choke out or do something to Rey's son,
Dominic.
I think that's something that they've been kind of teasing for a little bit now, week after week, and I've kind of been anticipating it. So I think that'll happen.
Yeah, I think Dominic will get involved. Maybe he actually ends up helping Rey win.
That could be the case too.
So for that reason, I'm going to continue my 50-50 booking, and Rey takes the United States Championship so they can have another match for the United States Championship at the next pay-per-view. Now for the WWE Championship, Kofi Kingston versus Kevin Owens. Where are you in the Kofi Kingston as a champion bandwagon? Are you for because I've seen this. It's been very polarizing on the social media where some people like his title reign or think that he hasn't had enough time yet to make a decision. And yet there's some people that just say he's not a worthy enough champion.
I'll tell you, this is how I feel about Kofi Kingston. I think that the product has been so bad for so long that the fans are going to clamor for anything that's going to be different. And they just are so passionate that they want to see something different that they're willing to almost cheer for anybody. Now, Kofi Kingston, he's a really good wrestler. He's okay on the mic. But I feel like going back to your point about somebody who's the champion versus the chaser, he might be one of those guys that's better as the chaser, playing the underdog. Now that he's the established guy, not that he doesn't make a good champion, but once he's already climbed the mountaintop, he can't play that role of the underdog anymore. And the one thing about him, or whether it was Daniel Bryan during the Yes Movement, was you enjoy the ride getting to that point where they win the championship, but now you have to shift gears and put on an entirely new hat. And not that he's done a bad job at that, it's just, it's much more enjoyable when he's the guy that's chasing the champion.
Exactly.
So while I don't think it's been a bad title reign, I don't necessarily consider it an all-time great.
Well, it's just starting.
It is what it is. So I'll have to see what he does going forward and how long this title reign is. If he goes forward and has some great feuds and puts on some amazing matches, then okay, then I'll say he is a great champion. But to this point, I think that it's just been a okay run.
Right. Now, if Kevin Owens were to lose this match, this would be his second match on a pay-per-view since coming back from injury, both for the WWE Championship, both a failed attempt. So I know people start putting that mantra on a person where if they lose a couple times, they start saying, oh, well, they're booking him bad, they're burying him, and we seen it with Braun Strowman, we see it Nakamura, we saw it with Samoa Joe, where Ziggler, where they're good enough to be champion, but for some reason they're just not champion. Bray Wyatt, another person, they talk a big game, but then they don't deliver. So does Kevin Owens, if he loses here, does that make him fall into that category of, could put him in a big match, but he won't win it?
To me, it's just the same Kevin Owens that we've seen for the past several years. There's not really any involvement with his character. Mm-hmm. He's still doing the same things. We still have the Kevin Owens show. We still have him running out and attacking people from behind and screaming and everything else. And, why is he doing these things? There's not really any motive behind it. So it's tough because I don't think that they're going to have Kevin Owens win and cut the Kofi Mania short.
Yep.
So I don't think Kevin Owens is winning this
So
match.
You have a Kofi retention.
I do.
I will agree there. We have a Kofi retention. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the main event, but we are predicting it as if it will be the main event. AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. And this is where things are going to get interesting for me. I'll let you go first.
Okay, I think Seth Rollins retains here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping this is going to be a good match as I'm anticipating it to be, but again, we get into this whole thing of when they're promoting matches as these dream type matches, especially considering AJ Styles is involved in this, you set yourself up for failure. Now, this could be one of those situations where they go out there and they tear the roof off the place, or they drop the ball, and it's just not as good a match as everybody anticipated. How is the crowd going to react? You have two really big stars, two essentially face characters going against one another. Now, traditionally, when we saw them try to do that with AJ Styles and Nakamura, the crowd was flat. Are we going to get that same reaction?
Yep.
I don't know.
True.
And that when you don't, again, going back to my point I keep making, when you don't have the emotion, whether it be rooting or booing for somebody, it makes the crowd weird and it takes away from the match.
Well, unfortunately, this match will not be decided by either AJ Styles and Seth Rollins in my prediction.
Okay.
Baron Corbin's cashing in and winning the Universal Championship to close Money in the Bank.
And then the ratings tank even further on Monday Night Raw.
I didn't say it would be a good thing. I just said that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
So Baron Corbin will cash in. If the Becky Lynch matches don't open the show, well, they could still open the show, and then the men's Money in the Bank ladder match goes after that. Corbin wins, cashes in successfully. So now, on top of being two-time Money in the Bank winner, he's now the Universal Champion, gaining extra heat. And now you have both AJ Styles and Seth Rollins going after him for ruining what would have been a dream match and creating even more heat for him because he ruined a potential dream match.
Seems to make WWE logic. It seems like something they do, unfortunately, yeah.
Yep. So that's what I'm going with. Baron Corbin wins the Money in the Bank ladder match and cashes in on the same night on Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. Now, obviously, this would all get ruined if the men's Money in the Bank ladder match is the main event. If you were creating this card, if you were Vince McMahon, what match would you have start? What match would you have finish the night?
Well, I've always been somebody who felt like your heavyweight championship match should close the night. So, I think right now of all the champions, Seth Rollins is carrying the most prestigious title, probably the most over champion. So that would be my match that probably would close the night. And I would say one of the Money in the Bank matches should probably open it because that's typically when the crowd is, most invested, most energetic.
So you're setting my scenario up.
Well, no, because Ricochet's going to win. But
well, no, if Baron Corbin wins.
I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, assuming Baron Corbin wins and cashes in, we could likely see a Corbin title reign.
Yep, and the rumor is that Seth Rollins is supposed to be facing Baron Corbin in the next series of storylines here. So, no one ever said that Seth was going to be the champion for the storyline.
That's true. We'll see.
The ratings go to under 1 with Baron Corbin as Universal Champion. Let us know what you guys think. What are your predictions for Money in the Bank? Are you going to be at Money in the Bank? Let us know. Tell us what section you're going to be in. We will love to see you. Like this video, share it all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. Subscribe and hit that bell for notifications as we're trying to hit 5,000 YouTube subscribers before All Elite Wrestling. Double or nothing. For Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti, and thank you for watching the Squared Circle Psychobabble.